Good morning, it's Barbara. It says it's gonna rain. It might actually be raining a tiny bit, but it's looking pretty dreary out there. Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. I just talked for 5 minutes and decided that was ridiculous, and I stopped. And I started over. I hope you are well. I stayed up way too late last night, Dennis and I both. And I was reading. I didn't finish the book, but and it's a book I read before, you know. There's no hope for me, really, I think. And, you know, he turned off his computer and his light to come out way too late. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got out of my book and I started to try to do my Wordle, because I usually do Wordle before I go to bed, because I go to bed after midnight, so I have the new Wordle. But it was too late, and so I didn't finish my Wordle. So I got up this morning, and I finished my book, and I finished my Wordle, had a cup of coffee, and you know, I got rushed out of bed because Maisie was having an emergency. She was banging on the door, so I rushed downstairs. I didn't brush my teeth or anything, and, you know, I let her out of the bedroom, and she shot like a arrow. She was banging on the back door before I even got down the steps. She had to go. At least she tells us she has to go. So I got Dennis to see him, went upstairs and finished in the morning, but I was so rushed, so I just came down and I thought, let me just make a cup of coffee and finish my book, because I was very close. I knew how it ended. And yeah. So we had a lovely visit with Bonnie yesterday. Bonnie and Joe came to visit, and we just, you know, sat. And this was a family visit. It wasn't just a visit or a visit. You know, sometimes there's it's really an aura visit, and people go upstairs and sit in the sitting room. It was a family visit, so we were all visiting together. Joe's a very nice guy. Bonnie's lovely. So we had a nice visit. They thought the cake was amazing, and it's good. Bonnie, very attentive to her aunt, and Aura is the only one left of that generation in on Garland's side of the family, and so all Garland's siblings are gone, and all their spouses are gone, I'm pretty sure. So Aura's the only one left, so they're very attentive. And so it was a very nice visit, but it really was kind of an all-day event, because I had to clean before they came, and then they stayed for a couple of hours. And I just, yeah, when I was done, I was like, you know, I knit a little while, read a book, then I started another book, which was a big mistake. So, and I stayed up too late, and here I am. Oh, I'm wearing I had to write it down because I keep thinking this is the Adele sweater. It starts with an A, Isabel Kramer, but it is the Arcade sweater. And I will show you this. Okay, this is turned into, this has a nice triangular texture on the side. Otherwise, it's a simple, and I don't think Isabel Kramer actually designs tight sweaters. This is her style of sweater, but with this textured detail. This pattern was a gift, and this sweater, oops, here I am. This sweater was one of the few times where I had a pattern in my hand, and I went to the yarn shop and said, I need yarn for this sweater. That's just not typical for me. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this. So I bought this yarn at my local yarn shop. I don't remember. It was a fairly big yarn company, as I recall. Somebody I think of a little more industrial. I don't think it was Cascade, but you know. Anyway, it's a sport weight, and the pattern I think must have called for a sport weight, but I guess I'm not sure. And so yeah, that's something that I hardly ever do. I'm a buy the yarn and find a pattern kind of girl. So this was interesting to me, but the pattern was a gift, and yeah, so I took the pattern to the yarn shop and bought the yarn. It's a real pretty color. This is one of the sweaters, and I think I started saying this and I hope I didn't finish, that is, well, was way too big and sloppy when I lost my weight, but now that I've gained weight back, it's not quite so big and sloppy, but it's really soft. You know, it just, there's no prickle factor to this yarn at all. And this is one of two that I think of like a sloppy sweatshirt when I just want to throw something on, you know. And so this one is much less sloppy than my Karina. That's very sloppy. But this is one of those sweaters that I just throw on when I just, you know, when my dog is banging on the door and I don't want to think about it, and I hadn't shown it to you yet anyway, officially, although I've worn it many times. You've seen it many times. But, so it's the, I keep wanting to say the Arcade by Isabel Kramer. And, yeah, and it's a nice one, although that triangular detail makes the one side, you know, a little different, but that's probably my blocking. My poor blocking. Anyway, so that's what I'm wearing. So I threw this on. She was banging on the door. I forget where I was with that story. And she had an emergency. But better to tell us than not. Okay, so I got reprimanded yesterday by Karen because I hadn't shown you my knitting. This is where I am with my Malin sweater. And I'm going to continue doing the body till I'm done with this little piece of yarn. And then I'm going to do the sleeves. But apparently, you know, I knit a little bit, but not a ton. So, yeah. So I have my markers. I had to add a little zing to this marker because the start of the row changed. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to know? Oh, I'm going to put this little thing on top of that little thing. Anyway. So here we are with my Malin sweater. It's going very well, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It looks so much brighter on my camera than it is. I mean, it's a deeper color than is showing on the screen. I love the color on the screen, but I love the color in person too. So, but it's a richer, more jewel tone garnet color in person. Looks a lot more fuchsia on the screen. I will be knitting a little bit today, but my my main task today is to make cards because they have to get in the mail today. And so that's happening today. And I don't think I'm going to do too much, have too many other tasks for myself. The house is straight and clean now. The bathroom's clean. Dennis vacuumed, so it looks really good. So it doesn't feel like we have anything urgent. You know, I'm retired. There's not much urgent. Dennis and Aura will be going out and about because Aura has a doctor's appointment this afternoon. Oh, I have the house to myself with 2 dogs and a cat. What will I do? I will do cards. So I just wanted to let anybody know who might be thinking about getting in touch with me that my email is down, my computer, my email stopped working, and Dennis hasn't had a chance to look at it yet. It's going to be a pain in the ass for him to do anything with it, and so I hesitate to remind him that I don't have email. He is my tech support. So I don't have any email. So message me if you need to talk to me. Message me on Ravelry or Instagram. Not that people have to talk to me, but I'm just saying. My email is not really available to me. I'll try to remember to let you know when it is. But meanwhile, yeah, that's it. So my plans today are to do some art and to do some knitting. And I'm in the mood, so I'll probably find another book to read. And I stayed up too late, so I'm, you know, lowish energy. And so, reading is a low energy thing, so it's a little bit cyclical, like I'm going to read, then I'm going to stay up too late, then... And I'm sure we'll watch a little more British baking because that's been on our agenda for a while. We're in the first season of COVID right now. And I don't remember who wins, which is really hilarious to me. I mean, sometimes I remember and sometimes not. Anyway, doesn't matter. We will find out because Laura and I are watching it. Dennis is sitting there watching it too, which is pretty funny because he's seen them almost as much as me. Although when he sees things, he's just in and out of the room. He doesn't sit there and watch usually. So he's been kind of sitting there for a little while, longer than I would expect him to. So that's pretty funny. But he's hanging out with me and his mom. So anyway, now I'm rambling. So I will get on with my day and get Boris her pills and some coffee. And there you go. But I don't expect to be out and about too much. If it stays dreary and damp, we might have a fire. We had a fire a couple nights ago. It was very nice. So I will bid you adieu. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay sane.